Hi, everybody. Welcome to 314 Podcast. Jeff Underwood, Ellie is not here today. You know what she did? She said, Seth Coleman coming. I ain't going to be there.
She bounced. That's all right. I get it.
She said, all y'all do is talk like little schoolgirls and laugh like little schoolgirls.
Yeah. I would say that's about right.
Welcome, my guest, Seth Coleman. What's up?
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm bright and bushy-tailed this morning, ready to go.
We've been hanging out for, I guess, almost hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, 8:40.
Yeah, I got here early. I'm starting to be an adult. I get somewhere early now.
How long were you in youth ministry?
Started in 96, and my last little spin was in 21, end of 21, so 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah, I took some breaks in there, but you know. But
did you take breaks, or did a break get given to you?
Well, breaks took me a couple of times, and then I took a break or two. You know, I think it's good to take a break.
Golly, if you had to scale grade youth ministry between a 1 and 10, 1 being the greatest experience of your life, and one being the worst experience of your life, what would you give youth ministry as a grade overall?
Oh, it's been one of the best times of my life, for real.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I was created to do it. Just to be honest.
I believe that.
You know, I take Jesus serious. I take my family serious. That's pretty much it. You know, my daughter told me, my oldest daughter Brianna, she told me one day we was going down this road, and she said, Dad, you are like perpetually a 17-year-old. And she meant to cut me down, and I said, well, yeah, that is the greatest compliment you could have given me. That I'm at 40-something years old, you know, I'm still not relevant, because I don't think you should try to be relevant, but I still I just don't take, you know, adults are too serious.
That's a fact.
And I think adults are too serious, honestly, because they don't know what they're doing. Most people, I figured this out. Most people don't know what they're doing in life, and they're figuring it out. So that insecurity makes you a little more serious. And for me, I just never really took it that serious. You know, you got to provide for your family and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I loved it.
With that,
I would say it's probably 9. You know,
9. All right. So
and then at the same time, there was some 2s.
We'll talk about those in a minute.
Yeah, maybe a 0 every now and then.
We'll talk about those in a minute.
You know who you are.
Real quick, for those of you that don't know, that are jumping on the podcast, or they're listening, or they're watching, wherever they're at.
Yeah.
And they're like, I love youth ministry, or I want to hear these funny stories. But I don't know who Seth is. Tell everybody who you are, a little bit about you real quickly, and about your family.
All right. Yeah. Grew up in between Hoax Bluff and Piedmont. My dad always called it Plum Nelly, because you're plum nowhere and Nelly everywhere. And
that's a great,
in the middle of absolute nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 11 miles from school. I went to Pleasant Valley High School.
What was the name of that road y'all lived on?
Highway 278.
Oh, you lived on
278? We lived off of 278.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, driveway was about a half a mile long, and the bus wouldn't go up it, but that was awesome. But,
Sorry, go ahead.
It was it was great. My parents are still together, love each other most of the time, and just saying, just being honest. You know, and we got a brother and a sister. Got some awesome nieces, nephews. I'm married. My wife is Jennifer Beth, and got 3 kids. Brianna, who's fixing to be 30. Yeah. And then Riley, he flew the coop. He's in Boston. Lives in Boston. He'll be 28 this year. And then I got Madison, and now I got Ben. Madison is 25, be 26 in July, and Ben, I don't know how old he is. He's my son-in-law. I think he's 25.
Is that a dad-in-law giving a son-in-law a little jab? I don't know how old he is.
No, it's being honest. I just don't know. I think she may be a year older than him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've got children that old, man.
Oh, I know. Just bought her first house.
Man,
bought a house in Rainbow City.
That's a great place to buy a house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Joe, go by there and see her. I'll tell you where they live.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they're doing great. They're all financially sustaining themselves, and so it's good. And I don't know what else to say.
So you've raised successful kids. How did that happen? Beth, right?
Yeah, Beth. Yeah. Beth, I would say Beth. We had a lot of support. I mean, good mom.
Yeah.
Good mom is hard to beat. And
you're blessed, man.
And I had jobs where I was able to be at home
Sure.
a pretty good bit. I tried to be in youth ministry, you can't forget the ministry at your house. So, which is easy to do, kind of. I remember one time my son, I asked him how he liked the sermon. He said, honestly, Dad, I just kind of tune you out. And I was like, wow, all right. He's like, I just hear you all the time. So when you're up there, I just tune you out. And so he didn't tune me out like he thought. So he learned some stuff.
Well, you raise diverse kids, man. They're independent.
Yeah. For the most part.
Every once in a while they need mom and daddy.
Sure.
Daddy.
Yeah,
when they say daddy,
daddy.
Yeah, you're like, okay, look at your Cash App.
Exactly. Venmo. We do Venmo.
Oh, Venmo. Okay.
Yeah.
Riley lives in Boston.
Boston.
I was looking at some of y'all's pictures yesterday and reminiscing, just because I watched them grow up online because we didn't live close to one another.
Right.
And you would tell me everything about them, and I didn't. Madison was the only one I really got to know when she was little, right?
Yeah.
But I watched them grow up, and you would tell me about them, so I feel like I know them. But,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Same with your kids.
Yeah. And so, looking at his baseball pictures,
Oh yeah.
Our youngest is playing ball now, and I know that was a proud time in your
life.
Yeah.
He played at Hartselle.
Great baseball school.
Yeah. It was a great baseball school. It was a great school.
He enjoyed it?
No.
Yeah, he did. That's why he lived in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, he was good enough to play college ball, but
he just didn't want to do it.
No, he did not want to do it.
Don't let Will watch this.
Yeah, I mean, there's times that he regrets it, but I mean, he tells me sometimes now he didn't even have to go to college. So kids in their 20s. I tell them, I say, just enjoy your 20s because you're as smart as you're ever going to be.
Yeah, that's right.
At some point you start realizing you're not as smart, and then when you get to our age, you just realize you're not smart at all.
When did you realize it was when you turned 50 that you realized you were stupid?
Oh, it was way before that.
Was it really?
I've become self-aware.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
It took me till I was 50, and I went, "God, I'm the dumbest person that's ever lived."
I credit Beth for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she really helped me. She really helped me figure that out.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth. You really helped me become a grown man.
So let's just go in. Let's go in. I want to talk about youth ministry. When I was thinking that Ellie and I were putting out different things, we think, different podcasts and structuring things. And normally the podcast that we do is things that we're dealing with in our life or we've dealt with in our life, that how we can help other people.
Sure.
And one of the things that I'm on right now is in scripture is that a merry heart does good like medicine.
Okay.
And it really is true.
That is 100% true.
Right? Because when you laugh, it releases endorphins and things into your body, into your mind, that it helps you forget pain. It helps you, for a moment, helps you lose pain, live in a moment of joy, right? And joy, we know, is not just laughter. It's an overwhelming knowing that Jesus lives in you, that you have a peace.
Yeah, yeah.
So it gives you that peace.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to call Seth, and we're going to talk about youth ministry in the 90s. And when people
Wild West
see the promo or have seen the promo when this airs, they're going to go, oh my gosh, I was in their youth groups. They're going to watch and go, they're going to talk about us.
It's very possible that you're going to get mentioned, and if you're not mentioned, it's because it's so bad.
If you're not, that's
we are going to leave names and dates absent on some of these just to protect the innocent.
The statute of limitations, I think, has run out on.
I don't care.
Most other.
I don't care now. I mean, what's he going to do? Fire me?
Exactly.
I've been there, done that. It ain't going to happen again.
You have that T-shirt. What did Dan Moran used to say?
Dude.
What
the same thing every time he spoke?
Every time.
I'm talking about the same message.
Yes.
Dan Moran.
There was three.
Yeah, he had 3. He rotated 3.
Yeah.
But he would always say the same thing.
He would always say pizza, popcorn, and putt-putt.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he'd get to his knee. He'd drop to his knee.
Oh, man.
Life, guys, is not about pizza, popcorn, and putt-putt. And that brother lived in Greystone. And
I was like, yeah. I was like, hold on, man. We got pizza coming next week. Right. Let me tell them that. I did have somebody tell me this one time. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Philip Ellen. He said,
I love Philip.
He said, if you can bring somebody in with a hamburger, somebody else can take them out with a hot dog.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I was like, man, that is so true.
That's very true.
You know, if substance is not what you're doing, you know, if you're just trying to entertain, the world can entertain way better than the church.
Sure. John Hammonds used to tell me if you get them with a pizza, somebody's going to take them away with a steak. That's what John would tell me.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, and it's true. Those guys all grew up during the same era.
I was at that church that did steak student ministry. It ain't all as crazy.
It's not.
Just to be honest.
We'll talk about that one later.
Well, I can't talk about it.
Oh yeah. NDA. You had to stop by your dad's yesterday, to let him know you were going on with me, so he would tell you what not to talk about.
Well, no, I got that a few times. I woke up this morning like, hey, remember, people are going to watch this, and I hope you do. All right. Yeah, I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The 90s was crazy. 25 years of student ministry, I've seen technology take over student ministry.
Dude, when we started, we did not have Wi-Fi, did not have the internet.
No.
I mean, it was available, but not to us.
Didn't even have digital cell phones.
No. Analog.
Had analog.
No, we had beepers first. Didn't you have a pager?
I had a cell phone.
You did? I had a phone in the car.
Yeah, 96, I think I had a NEC 920.
Oh, that's about right.
Yeah, that was a brick phone.
That thing come on.
Yeah, had the antenna that you pull out.
You love that too.
Yeah.
Did you make it a big deal when you would pull the antenna out in front of the youth?
Oh, yeah. Listen, the best thing I ever got was a StarTAC. It was one of those little mini StarTACs. You remember? And J.D. Jennings said, hey, what you going to do? You going to feed that to your little girl?
That's what he was saying. As he's carrying a Nokia 918, right?
Yeah. Oh, J.D. But
he said, "What Madison's gonna eat there, Seth?
What's he gonna do?" I was like, "Man, you're wrong for that," but he was right too.
Right.
My check that week had like coins in it.
What a great dad!
Yeah, that was a pretty bad.
He's a good dude, man. I love
Jennings. Yeah, one of the great human beings.
He's a wonderful man.
Yeah,
wonderful man. His kids are questionable.
I talked to Lauren 3 years ago, maybe.
We saw her at a football game or something.
Called her about a house.
She's great, man. Lauren and Elaine are good kids, man. Mm-hmm. And we don't credit JD with any of that. That's
awesome. Totally his wife.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So diving in real quick. What is the weirdest thing you ever saw at a lock-in that you're willing to talk about?
The weirdest thing at a lock-in?
Yeah. You can't talk about the lock-in we had at East Gadsden where we dominated.
I'll tell you what you shouldn't do. Play hide and seek at a lock-in. We called it reverse hide and seek. It was actually called sardines.
Yes.
And sardines was where you would, I don't think they play that anymore, and for good reason.
I don't think you can have lock-ins anymore.
So,
I think the church insurance won't let you do it anymore.
I did a D-Now type weekend and had it at the church. It was the worst decision I've ever made in my life.
And you stayed at the church?
Yes.
So a lock-in Disciple Now weekend.
The girls stayed at houses, and all the boys stayed at the church. Nightmare.
Were you drinking when you made that decision?
I lived close enough that I went home. So I had enough chaperones, and I left the chaperones, and it was a complete disaster.
No.
Oh, yeah. Nobody slept.
Did the chaperones know that you left, or they thought you
left? Oh, yeah, I told them. So I'm just 2 minutes away. If something happens, call me. They didn't call me. Something happened. I can't even talk about it on here.
You can't disclose.
No, I was sworn to silence by my mother-in-law.
Oh my!
She told me, "Do not talk about it."
So that's the story.
That's the story. I want to tell you. I want to tell you, but I can't. It was a misunderstanding. We'll say that.
Okay, you'll tell me.
But I thought
you'll tell me off air, right?
Yeah,
okay.
But I thought in my years of student ministry, this was the thing that I dreaded the most.
How did I know to ask lock-in question the first
time?
time?
Man, that was a terrible one. And so we did a sardines. We were at First Baptist Piedmont. I think that was 90. I was there in like 97, 98, 99. And my first church was College Heights.
Yep.
Got saved and felt like the Lord was calling me to do something for him, And so I looked at the teenagers, and I was kind of rough in college. Went through just figured my way out, and thought I was a Christian. Wasn't. So got saved, and we were going to College Heights, and I went down front, and we were going to join the church, and I turned around and I said, Tim Childress was a pastor, and he said, "Hey, what's your, you want to say something?" I said, "No, I don't want to say anything, but I have to." So I turned around and I looked at the kids and I said, "I want to help y'all." And that's all I knew, I didn't know student ministry, nothing. I mean, student ministry when I was in high school was Jeanette Johnson, who would give out tracts and cry. And we'd have,
bless her heart.
We'd play volleyball and stuff. So I didn't know what student ministry was all about. It was just a class. So, anyway, then I met you. You were at Cross Point. Before Cross Point was Cross Point.
Yeah.
You were Cross
They
Point.
thieved my name.
That's right.
We had a conversation about that.
That's right.
And
then somewhere in there, I met Paul Harbison.
Yeah. He was on there. These guys.
Paul he's like a legend.
He is.
He's still at College Heights. Do you know that?
He's back over there?
He's at College Heights leading worship.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew he was at Dwight for a second. They live in our neighborhood.
They're awesome.
Great
Cindy
people.
Doesn't look like she's aged hardly at all.
She walks all the time.
Does she really?
Yeah, she walks.
Trying to get away from Paul?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. He's in there shaking a friend's hand, that kind of stuff.
Not that cheap, pinch a friend's cheek.
Not that cheap. Yeah.
Not that cheap. So anyway, that was the first thing. The first thing I did was exit 96.
Yeah. I was the morning speaker there. I was there. Rick Owsley.
Yeah.
And we had Antoine one night.
Oh yeah,
we stole him from Breakaway.
Yeah, exit 96 was awesome. It was my first little trip, and I know we were talking about lock-ins, but I'm gonna get to that in just a second. But let's go to the lock-in thing. I'm sorry, I got ADHD. I do. I was technically diagnosed. So Paul's children, Jared, Micah, Seth. Mm-hmm. And Micah and Seth at that point looked alike. Yeah, they don't anymore.
No, they outgrew that. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
but I was not beneficial to that because they looked alike when I was their youth
pastor.
Yeah.
Exactly. They were you were their youth pastor. I was their youth pastor at 3 different locations.
It's so funny.
They came to 3 of my churches, and I want to take credit for that, but at the same time, I'm not sure.
Well, Paul and I left at relatively the same time, these guys, and so
So we were doing a lock-in at First Baptist Piedmont, and we did sardines, and so we found everybody. And the way sardines works is it's reverse hide and seek. So one group goes and hides, and then everybody else seeks. So it's really loud, and you got the lights off. So when you find the person, whatever group you're in, we did it in groups of 2, which is a bad idea. When you find that person, then you hide with them. So eventually, everybody's in there, and you're hiding place. That was great. It's terrible, and so it's fun. You get in a crouch place, and everybody's trying not to somebody, some 13-year-old farts, and everybody's like, oh. So we all get back together and we're like, hey, somebody's missing. So we went upstairs, and one of the Harbison boys, I'm not going to say which one, was upstairs, not by himself. So
if it's the one I was thinking about, he was never by himself.
They're play.
Church van. That's all I got to
say. Great men.
Fantastic people.
Great men
of God.
Absolutely.
Well, they
100% taken after
Cindy,
taken after
our brother Bill.
Yeah, brother Bill, Danny. Just that influence was just awesome. But
Paul's
anyway,
a great man of God.
So that was
sure,
that was tough. But going back to my first trip that I ever took, I was 25, never done it before.
This is the exit.
Yes,
exit 96.
It's College Heights. We had 2 vans, pretty good sized group, and I had never been on a trip with kids before. And they didn't even background check me, man.
They didn't have to.
They were just like, "Hey, you're the guy now." And so,
which is what Tim Childers did a lot.
Yeah, and thanks, Tim. It was 25 years of awesome, 21 years of awesome.
Yeah.
4 years of me. So, I'm going, and Jim Runner.
Jim Runner Jim. He was my RA director back in college.
I saw him the other day, big Jim Runner.
I saw him down at Dollar General last year.
So he had 2 boys, Nathan and Ty. And so he comes up to me. He says, "Hey, man, I'll be praying for you on this trip. He's just a great guy." And he hands me a bag. And I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "This is Nathan's money." He said, he said, last trip Nathan went on, he bought a sword. His very first day, he bought a sword, so we don't let him have his own money now. So I held on to his money, and I was like, "What is this? What are we doing here?" And I'll tell you, there's a girl that was, I think she was a senior, maybe 11th grade. If she hadn't been on that trip, I think that I would have ended my student ministry career. Jana Sanderson. If it hadn't been for Jana, who was like telling me, "Hey, you're doing good. This is what we normally do." She kind of like coached me through the whole thing.
Sure.
Jana Sanderson and JT Hornbuckle.
Yeah, I remember that. JT's a great guy.
Were 2 of the ones that JT in my classes, I would look at him if I was telling a Bible story, and he would be doing this.
You make sure if it was right or not.
Yeah, if I was telling it right, he'd just nod his head. So that was a long time ago, but shout out to those guys. JT, awesome, and Jana, she was awesome. Then I went to First Baptist Piedmont, and First Baptist was great.
So tell me, there's a rumor, and I know it's true because you told me.
Yeah.
So you call me one day and you say, "Hey, I'm preaching a sermon Wednesday night, and it's called Potty Mouth."
100%.
Right, and you say, "Listen, I'm gonna preach that mug from a toilet."
Yeah, I brought Throne in there.
So tell us about this toilet that you preached the message from.
100% brought a toilet. We were having pretty good groups then. Yeah. 75, 80, 85 kids in Piedmont. It was pretty cool. And their language was terrible. Now, it wasn't like cuss words necessarily. It was just negative, a lot of negative. They would speak negative about themselves. They would speak negative about other people. Mm-hmm. And so there's power in our words.
Yeah.
And so to drive home the point, I brought a toilet and sat on the toilet closed. Yeah. You don't sit on an open toilet.
Was it used or new?
I don't know. I didn't unbox it, so it was used. So we brought that thing upstairs and we set it up, kind of propped it up, so I was kind of sitting up. And I sat on that toilet and preached about the power of our words. And kids got saved.
That's crazy.
It was like 10 kids got saved. Because I talked at the end, I said, the most powerful thing you can say is, "Lord, I'm a sinner." Mm. Your words have power, but the most powerful thing you can say is you understand who you are, you understand who Jesus is, and you understand what He's done for you.
Yes.
Coming up on Easter. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say Easter.
You could say Easter.
But that was God can use anything. I think if I sit here as a testimony to anything, God can use anything.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you think that was probably the most crazy illustration you've ever used? Or is there one maybe more outlandish and you go, "I can't believe God used that"?
That was probably the most. Yeah,
I still use that illustration sometimes to what you did.
Oh yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. Yeah. But it worked. It was a gimmick.
Yeah, sure.
And student ministry for the most part in the 90s was very gimmicky.
Right.
As it evolved, I mean, in the 90s, we had clip art book.
Yes, we.
You know, if it hadn't been for Gadsden Christian Bookstore,
I'm telling you.
I don't even know. I would have never made it.
No.
You know, there was books of skits and
Yes.
books of, you know, you had to get the motions to all the songs. And if you didn't know Big House, who were you? You know what I mean?
How many DC Talk songs were titles of sermons that you preached?
Oh, In the Light? Huh? As He is in the light.
Jesus Freak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got to be Jesus freaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was researching. Did you know Kevin Mack had renounced Christianity?
Yeah, that brother singing in Vegas. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know how you even do that.
I think he still goes on their DC Talk cruise and sings with them, though.
Of course he does.
That brother can sing, though.
He can sing, but so can everybody else. I mean,
right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Nowadays.
Yeah, you look, it's like America's Got Talent. All of us have talent, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Some stuff.
Yeah. What was that group that used to tour or tour, but sing in our area that you used?
The Vocal Boys.
The Vocal Boys, yeah. What?
Absolutely.
Are they still around? Are they still singing?
I know
Jay's
that Jay.
pastor, right?
Yeah, Jay. I saw him.
Asheville, something like that.
I don't know. He like got CrossFit. Like Jay was always really serious.
Yeah, very nerdy.
He was like never a student pastor. He just like straight went to pastor.
I mean, I'm a pastor now.
Yeah, yeah. And they had that one guy that had a deep voice.
Though.
He's absolutely a
Makes
specimen.
Me sick, yeah. Him and Brett Ellis, and what's the other the skit guy? No, Brett Ellis and then Adam Swan. All CrossFit people.
Is Adam Swan a CrossFit guy?
Have you seen him?
You know why?
Oh,
he lost a hair.
It's all bald people. You're right. This is a trend.
I need to start losing some hair so I can get in shape.
You used to be in shape.
I did for about 2 minutes.
That, bro. Hold on, though. It does have something to do with your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Something with your head when you get in shape because I
had it shaved.
But you shaved it. But you also went cotton white. You dyed your hair. I remember that.
Frosted tips.
Yeah, frosted tips. Yeah. Madison was what? 2?
Yeah, she was a baby. Yeah. I looked at that picture yesterday.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And you had the baggy jeans on. You didn't have your Primo pants on.
I had the cargo jeans.
Yeah.
That were whitewashed.
Acid washed.
Acid washed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You got to shape then. We won't talk about that one.
Yeah.
We will move on.
I went to First Baptist, and First Baptist did some cool stuff. I saw Steve Bush one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Steve Bush is.
Well,
but is he?
I think so. In shape. I saw him.
I know he was
about 5 years ago.
I know he was at a church in Sneed for a while.
Yeah.
But we were doing Judgment House, which is crazy. I mean, I don't think they do haunted houses in churches now, but we did it.
It's haunted. Yeah, that's what it was. We bring our kids up there.
Hundreds and thousands of people came through it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this guy comes up dressed like a geisha girl, and it's Steve Bush. I was like, what is going on? I think he was with Brett Ellis, as a matter of fact. So
that explains
that whole
more
crew,
than you ever know, right?
That whole crew, and shout out to one of the legends of 90s student ministry who just recently passed, J.D. McDuffie. I wanted to be more like him than he ever probably knew.
Yeah.
Just because he was awesome.
He was great, man.
And kids loved him and looked up to him and in all kind of ways. So
yeah.
But he just recently passed, and that was sad.
Great man.
So definitely. So one story from Piedmont that I thought was never going to get out, and until Stephen Ingram.
Yeah, I remember Stevie. I call him Stevie. That's
Stevie. It was Stevie, but now he's Stephen Ingram. I think he might be Dr. Stephen Ingram.
He's intellectual.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. He's way past us.
It didn't take much, bro.
No, it didn't take much.
It didn't take much.
But Mary Liz is probably the best part of that whole deal, but she's good for him. But anyway, Stephen has written a few books. And one of his books was called Organic Student Ministry, and he told a story in it that was supposed to go to our graves with. So
Did First Baptist give you warning?
I had no idea.
Oh.
So First Baptist Piedmont, it is a classic small town First Baptist.
Yeah.
had awesome stained glass windows in the sanctuary. College Heights did too. You know, they told the story of Jesus. You know, but Piedmonts were not that, but they were old.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't a big rule follower.
What?
And so we really didn't have, all we had was like a little yard in the front.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to throw the Frisbee one day. And so the only place that was big enough to throw a Frisbee was the sanctuary. So we were in the balcony, you know, throwing the Frisbee back and forth. And it was a good Frisbee, not one of those cheap, flimsy Frisbees that you get at Five Below, but it was a good one.
Okay.
One of those heavyweight ones, you know. That.
Oh, my gosh.
And so somebody, I forget who did it, threw it and it started curving, bending, and missed and went over the head and bang, hit the stained glass window. And I was like, oh no. And I went and it had broken it. And I was like,
from the inside.
From the inside. So I was like, oh no, what do we do? I'm not proud of this.
You don't look proud.
Disclaimer, I'm not proud of this. But I went outside.
No, you didn't.
I got the pieces of glass from the outside. I found a rock, and I put it under the window outside, and I pushed the window in, and I brought the pieces inside, and I told them we found a broken.
Stephen, he's never told me this story, and I've heard almost every story.
No, I was not proud of that. That was totally sketchy.
Wait, how many teenagers were in?
Oh, there was only 3 there.
So it was you, Stephen.
It was me, Stephen, and I'm not going to say the other one. I think he's a upstanding young man now.
Oh, is he?
He's actually not a young man. They're old men now. They're in their 40s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Kevin Webb, but I'm not going to say his name.
Not even going to say who that is.
Super talented. I lost contact with Kevin, but he was a super talented guy.
So did they know now, or they knew when Stephen released the book? Did he say that you were in there?
Well,
did you?
Let's just put this disclaimer out on the book. I doubt they read it. No offense to Stephen.
Is it to Stephen or because the people in Piedmont?
I don't. Both. It was far enough. It was far enough in. You know, it wasn't in the forward.
In the book.
It wasn't in the forward. You know, where people
or the back of the book, right?
Exactly.
So it was in the middle.
Yeah.
So they didn't get that far.
It didn't have any.
You did a great job.
It didn't have any pictures, so nobody really read it there.
Who was the pastor when that happened? It was
I think it was Tony Smith.
Tony Smith. Yeah.
Tony Smith. He sells cars up in Huntsville now.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, he was always a real good used car salesman.
I have met him when you were there.
I saw him the other day. Somebody saw him the other day. He was like 4 or 5 years ago. He was at Abba's house where I was at.
Really?
And he was dating Shonda Pierce,
the singer?
the comedian.
Oh, the comedian, yeah.
And I thought, how funny is that?
What? Tony and Little Fella?
Yeah, he was.
That was an odd couple, wasn't
it? That dude had a glass eye, had a fake eye, and
his hair was really stiff, wasn't it?
Oh,
I mean, like
such
White Rain.
Yeah,
White Rain.
Yeah. So he would get like at the end of a sermon.
Back of my neck's hurting. I'm
laughing. Oh yeah, this is not something I should be saying, but at the end of a sermon, he'd get that one eye working. And he'd get a little tear going out of just that one eye. Oh. He could get that glass out and put the tear out.
Yeah.
Man,
he'd work that thing.
Oh, yeah. He's like, oh, you sawdust. And, start crying out of that one eye. Away. And then we just looked like he ain't crying out of both eyes, so that ain't real. But so me and Adam Ragsdale one day, we did a skit. Shout out to Adam Ragsdale. He's still one of the best, one of my super great friends. But Adam was like, hey, man, the women are doing a luncheon. And they want us to do a skit. So what I want us to do Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream, and we're going to lip sync it, but you're going to be Dolly. And I'm going to be Kenny Rogers.
You have a picture of that.
I'm sure I do, somewhere.
I've seen it. Or there is one.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a picture. Yeah. And the whole shtick was Kenny Rogers had been absent a while from an excessive sweating problem. And Dolly Parton was still making appearances amid rumors that she was having her implants were leaking. And so we had set this thing up. Yeah, we had set this thing up, and I had big old water balloons. And I'm in my.
This is at First Baptist.
First Baptist. We're right there in the fellowship hall.
Oh.
And I'm up there in a dress, denim dress. Can you imagine a woman that would fit in the dress that I was wearing? But there was one big enough. And so I was a little smaller then, and so I'm standing there with my dolly,
6'5",
and I'm singing, and I've got these pins in my hands.
Oh gosh!
And Adam has hooked himself up to a sprayer, and so about halfway through the song, he just starts profusely sweating, and then I reach up and pop both of my balloons, and it's just it's a howling event. Like people are howling about it,
What?
And so Tony Smith brought me in his office, and he said,
trouble.
He said, Seth, you'll never have a big church doing things like that.
What?
Yeah.
But,
and you know what I said?
They only ran, y'all run 350?
Yeah. You know what I said to him?
That's not a big church.
No, it wasn't even 350. That was the membership.
Oh, the membership. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I told him? I said, I don't want a big church.
Wow.
Yeah. He also told me I'd run out of sermons by August. Yeah. He was great. He was a great encourager.
So you're
pastor. It's like, wow, out of the whole Bible, I'm going to run out.
Wow.
Some people are self-prophetic.
Golly.
Some people, it's like,
it's
showing that a lot now.
Yeah.
People say one thing, and they'll accuse you of something, and they're actually doing it.
That's exactly right.
He ran out.
That's exactly right.
He ran out.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, he wasn't the best influence.
What's the
this may not make it in.
Let's move on. Back in the 90s, and it should be now, but back in the 90s, purity was a big thing, right?
True Love Waits.
Right? True Love Waits, right?
Yeah.
What was the most awkward purity talk moment or purity talk sermon that you ever had? Because it's the most awkward.
All the kids got the rings.
Yes.
All the kids. It was kind of like Prom Promise a little bit.
Yeah.
It was, we were making them. That was back in the just say no things. Mm-hmm. We were asking kids to commit to everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was like, hey.
It's like you're preaching a work salvation.
Yeah, vow that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was a good concept. It is a good concept. It's still a great concept.
Sure.
True love does wait, but lust does not wait.
That's right.
And so
you got to prepare.
That's a hard preach. You got to be prepared.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't really have one that was kind of crazy. I was, those things.
We had one. This was at East Gadsden Baptist at Cross Point.
Yeah.
And at this time was the height of what we were doing. So there was a Wednesday night, 150 teenagers in there. It was packed full of kids. We were doing True Love Waits.
Oh yeah, one of the OGs for real. He's my mentor, older than me, but
it was awesome. So we did the rings, right? And shout out Gadsden Christian Bookstore again, and we got they ordered them for us and got them all hooked up, all that kind of deal, and they were cheap. I mean, you could squish them if you needed to.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, so I'm giving the speak, and for whatever reason, I said, if you're going to wait, stand to your feet. And I thought, man, I really preached this thing. Right?
Yeah.
I've really done a great job.
Yeah. I'm married and I'm going to stand up. It's so good.
Right. And I'm going to there's going to be 60 kids out of this 150 or whatever it was, 130, whatever it was, stand up. And there was one, and I said, when you stand up, I want you to shout, I'm going to wait. And so can't say his name, but the people, you guys that were there, you know exactly who it is. This little joker, he was the most honest and pure, sweet kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you knew that brother was not going to have sex at all until he got married.
I got two names in my head. I'm not sure. One of them's Josh Clemmer, one of them's Gary. I forget his last name.
It wasn't Josh Clemmer. Anyway, this brother, I said, 1, 2, 3, and this rascal stood up and he goes, I'll wait. And everybody, I promise you, without missing a beat. Everybody on the left side, there was, I stood up in front. This left side is where all the cool kids, sat. Every one of them doing what you're doing. Their shoulders start laughing, and one dude on the front, you do know who this one is. He goes, I can't say the word that he said. But anyway, basically he said, we know.
Yeah.
We know. And at that point, there was only one person that did that. Now, everybody got the rings, but I thought, I have royally screwed up.
That is a
this
bad
kid,
idea.
It was terrible, man. It was a terrible idea. And
speaking of Brandon Bruce, that dude put me in a headlock and about killed me.
A triangle choke. He put you in a triangle choke in midair.
That was before jiu-jitsu was a thing. I had no clue what I was getting into.
Bro.
And I walk in, and they're all, I should have known something.
Well, we were standing in our
guy.
cafe. And
it was right beside like a pool table or something.
Yes.
I thought I was safe. And I'm like 6'6", 200-something pounds, 270.
And he's what, 16 and
115 pounds? Yeah. They're like, I bet he can't do it. I was like, hey, come on. I promise y'all, in 10 seconds, he had me going.
This brother, this little fella, we were all standing in the cafe, and we told that he was out there wrestling everybody. And you said, well, he couldn't put me down. And we said, go out there. And you walk out there into this room, and it's like Brandon Bruce ran up you.
Yeah, he climbed me.
He climbed you.
Yeah.
Put you in by the time you hit the floor, you're tapping out. It was the greatest experience of my life.
Yeah, it hurt. It really hurt. He didn't go easy on me. No, I don't think I hit the pool table, but man, I was like, I've got to get loose of this.
Oh, God, it was great.
I immediately quit breathing.
Oh, yeah, you were, you blacked.
Yeah, it was like, man, this is not good.
Oh, man, those are some great lock-ins. Great times.
Some of the greatest times that we did together. We used to do, that was back when youth groups would get together. I don't know if they even do that anymore.
The big gig, remember? God Invades Gas.
Yeah, we did this one at
Expose Ministries. We'll talk about that one later.
We did one at the Tabernacle, the Blue Church.
Yeah.
With Johnny Johnson when he was still there. And Jeff had this guy, Brian Veach, who could sing awesome.
He could sing phone book.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah,
and I think maybe it was his first time on a cordless mic.
It was, because we didn't have him at Crosspoint. We had the wire.
And so he's singing, I think it was Stephen Curtis Chapman, Free.
That's it. There was like 1,000 teenagers.
It was packed. And this dude starts to sing, and he just walks out.
It's gone.
He walks all the way down. I'm like, man, he's really making a spectacle of this. He walks out the building.
Brother still singing.
It was like, hey, note to self, Brian always gets a chord.
Yeah.
So that he will never do that
And
again.
I had to preach after that.
Oh, yeah, it was the most awkward. It was totally a Brian Veach thing.
It was. And I think I'm supposed to use that microphone.
And that little guy was going, hello, Brother Jeff Underwood, hello.
Kenny Malone.
Sweet Pea. I saw Sweet Pea at Word Alive probably 15 years ago.
No, you did not.
He's like, Brother Seth Coleman, hello.
What a sweet guy.
Oh, my goodness,
man.
yeah, what a great kid.
You remember he carried that pager around, and it didn't have any service.
It didn't have no service.
And that brother would flip it on
He
and
would
off.
flip it. Turn it on, turn it off.
Brother Jeff, I got to go call my girlfriend. Call my girl.
Oh, man.
What a sweet guy. Gosh. Oh, my God. What was your go-to punishment? Your go-to punishment for rowdy kids on a youth trip? And then is there a punishment that backfired on you?
Their punishment was rooming with me.
No.
And that always backfired on me.
Immediately.
The worst kids always got my room.
Oh.
And the reason I wanted them in my room.
After that lock-in that you went home.
Right.
Okay.
The reason for that was because sometimes your worst kids are your best kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the kids that are testing all of this to see if it's real. To see if you're going to be like, all this love and Jesus stuff sounds great when you're preaching it.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
But when you go on a trip and somebody tests you, do you not look like Jesus? Mm-hmm. And I found that chaperones, no matter how awesome and well-intentioned, most of them aren't equipped to deal with a rowdy teenager. There's not, especially not one of their own. Right. So they get mad, they start to lose it, and and you end up having to deal with it. So if you're going to have to deal with it, you might as well just be in that room. And so my wife would get the girls that I thought were going to be a problem, and I would get the guys, and because I knew that I would treat them with love and grace, and so they really never. I mean, yeah, they smoked and did some stuff. They had vapes and all that, which I didn't sanction it, but I would collect them. And
did you ever send anybody home from a youth camp? Like you're out of town, youth trip, youth camp. You never sent anybody home?
I never had to send anybody home.
Really?
I did have to tell one young man that he could not go, though. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've done.
Really?
Yeah. Because he needed to go.
Yeah.
But he was just really being disrespectful and kind of rebellious. And so I had to tell him and his parents. That was hard, man.
I bet.
That was hard for me because I wanted everybody to go.
Yeah, because you're a big grace.
We would take hundreds of people. We'd go to Breakaway.
We were
still going to Breakaway.
2 charter buses.
Yeah.
Full of
people. Absolutely. Yeah.
And a chaser van.
Yeah.
That you drove.
Yes. I drove my truck. Yes. Because we would stay a week after. I got good at this thing.
And you tell them, I got to have a vehicle just in case something happens.
We're going to take all the stuff.
Yeah. We're going
to take all the food. Yeah. We're going to go down ahead of y'all and go to Sam's and get all the food.
Y'all stay a night.
Well, we stay a whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's an OG youth minister right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. Absolutely.
Shout out to East Gadsden Baptist. Thank you for all my pre-trip trips.
So on trips, we would do a guy's bus and a girl's bus.
Yeah.
So
that's smart.
Oh yeah,
that's brilliant.
I mean, nowadays
we started doing van. We carry like 8
It
vans.
used to be foolproof. Nowadays,
it doesn't matter. Right?
You better still.
Do you have a female bus, a male bus, and then the
No, we never did that. No, we never did that.
I got close. You were in a trendy area for a while.
I got close though. I did have a couple of conversations. So we're not going to talk about that because none of that was funny.
And when you call me, you say, hey,
but in one word it was. But so I would go on the guys' bus, and there was always 7th graders and 8th graders, and a lot of times in the summer we would even take some of the more mature 6th graders, and so I would take 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I would ask them, hey, and this was on the bus, did you bring deodorant? Because there's nothing that can ruin a trip like a funky kid, smell like he's an onion patch.
That's true.
And so I used a line that I heard Jeff say. I would say, listen, I want you to put so much deodorant under your arms that it looks like you got mayonnaise coming out from under your arms. And I remember Jeff saying that, and I've said it every time. Like, here, it needs to look like mayonnaise coming out of your arms.
I mean,
I made one kid put deodorant on the bus.
You got to.
Yeah, I did a demonstration.
Yes.
Like go from here,
bro. We took bags.
And don't take that Menon stuff. That stuff is clear.
It don't work. No.
I know it's probably healthier for you because it don't have aluminum, but we need that aluminum.
You aluminum, right?
Yes.
I mean, you rub that aluminum foil on there. I mean,
yes. Whoever came up with the word puberty knew what they were talking about because it's PU. Putrid. It's the worst.
But we started, before we would go, we would have campaigns where church members would donate different items.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that I would put out always on the number one, deodorant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I had girls. I was making girls that stank.
Yeah.
I had them making. They were putting degree on.
So let me ask you this: did you ever have to confront a student that always stunk?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
that's
absolutely.
So hard.
It's very hard, but you
got
to do it. Don't do it in front of people.
Look, I had this one girl at a church I was at, and I couldn't do it, but it needed done. And there was something going on with her clothes or something. I mean, it was.
Who'd you get to do it?
Her name's Michelle Chandler. And
Good
she was the best. She came in, she said, we just wanted to ask you, we noticed that you've got kind of an odor. And
no, she didn't.
This girl acted like she didn't know what I was talking about. I was
she didn't smell it. She used to it?
No, she was so used to it. She was nose blind.
Oh,
so
God bless her.
And she said, so at your house, do you have like water and maybe like soap? And I was thinking, this is so sensitive.
Bless her heart.
But I was in there. I was so nervous about it. Because I don't want to offend anybody.
Did she respond well?
She acted like she had no idea what we were talking about. And so we handed her a basket with all that stuff, like all kind of Bath and Body Works stuff.
Wait, did y'all make her walk out with it in front
of Haley's bathroom? We had like all the stuff out of Haley's bathroom.
Yeah. Haley's taking some home.
Look, Haley is gonna smell good.
Dude, she does.
She's gonna smell a lot.
You smell her coming before she gets right.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jeff, maybe use your bathroom.
That's what's on the seat.
No, it's not. I'm better than that.
Hold on. Did she walk out in front of all the other teenagers?
No.
Y'all waited till after.
She had a nice little gift basket.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this woman was very classy.
She knew what's up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she wasn't a youth pastor.
No, not a bit. No, she was super sensitive about it. And so, so I got another funny story.
All right.
So I'm here at a church in Glencoe called Cove Creek.
Yep.
And
shout out Gadsden Baptist Temple.
That's right. It was GBT.
That's it.
And so we had a great group there, dude.
Uh-huh.
It was so good.
I still see some of those young people. Older people.
Yeah, they're like adults now.
Yeah. And they remember me.
Oh yeah,
Bro Jeff.
And so we were called the Covians. We like had ourselves names and stuff, and we had a band. It was awesome. Catalyst. It was such a good.
Had
band.
A church named after y'all.
Yeah. They didn't give us credit, but that's okay.
That's right.
That's when you know you're doing it. He
said it was
right.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't make it up. He claimed Ecclesiastes rule. Nothing new under the sun.
That's what Philip Ellen did to us.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly what
Philip Ellen probably just looked at you and said, "So."
He said, that's our name now.
So, so we had a group, and I had taken the guys camping. We had a group of girls that really got upset about it. And I had tore down a building behind my house, and inside that building there were like 1,000 baby food jars, and they were in the back of my truck. So I had left my truck at the church, and so when I came back from the trip, I come to go get in my truck, and I had left my truck unlocked, which is a bad idea. And when I do, I come in, and there's like 12 baby food jars with yellow water in them.
Yes. Wait a minute.
Urine.
Wait, you took the boys?
I took the boys.
The girls did this?
They didn't fess up to it for a long time, and then they finally told me it was girls. And some of the girls had got those baby food jars and filled them up with urine and put them in my truck. And it was the funniest thing. I didn't even get mad about it.
That is great. Like, that is such a boy youth thing.
Listen.
That's hilarious.
Here's what I thought. I thought, I'm really making an impact on these young people.
I know they're going to heaven now.
That's right.
Dude, I came home from a mission trip. I went to Argentina. I used to go a bunch to Argentina. And so I'd come home. It was late. Our flight had got in late, and our caravan got us back to the church late. So, and I parked over around by the office, right? And the senior pastor that went with us, this is when I was youth minister, he went with us. He didn't drive. His wife picked him up. I left my vehicle there, my Pathfinder. Remember the little Pathfinder?
Oh, yeah.
And we got killed several times in that thing. So I helped everybody unload the caravan and get them gone and tell everybody bye. And I think there was probably 30 of us maybe that went this trip. So I grabbed my duffel bag and put it on my shoulder, and I bebop around. It's a long track. This building was kind of large, and I walk around the side. I get around the side and eyesight of my truck, and there's a light shining on it. My Pathfinder is sitting on blocks. Blocks.
That's awesome.
Cinder blocks.
Oh my God.
Bro, and then I go, that's funny, it's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking around, well, my tires are here, my wheels are here somewhere.
Surely.
No, they took my wheels.
And that was before Uber.
Yes.
You were stuck like Chuck.
So I knew it was students, right? So I knew.
Yeah.
But there was also two that were twins, and it wasn't those twins, but it's two.
For real, it wasn't Harbison's.
No,
it's a very Harbison thing to do.
It is, and that's something to say about twins, right?
Yes.
So I
went two minds.
I went in the church, and it was late. So I went in the church. I called their house. I said, he answered the phone. I said, bring them back. I slammed the phone down. And they lived about 10 minutes from the church. In about 20 minutes, them boys were back. and they were putting my stuff up. They didn't even ask. They pulled it up, put it back on. But man, what a great prank that was.
That's an awesome prank.
That was freaking
Nowadays,
awesome.
that would be on 12 cameras.
Oh yeah,
you can't do stuff like that
all day long. Man, our property, we got 15 acres, and I have 6 cameras all over this. But we look at the dogs and the deer and stuff.
Nature.
But also, I have young adults living in my house. I'll make sure they get home on time.
100%.
Or don't leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. Brandon, that's why he moved out. I'm just kidding. But man. Yeah. All right, so tell me about a youth skit. We're almost done. We said we told ourselves we're going to be 40 minutes or below. That never happens with you and I. So, what is a youth group skit that went completely off the rails in front of your congregation?
Oh man,
terrorism, evangelism. You had the ultimate skit guy in your church, in your youth group at First Baptist.
Yeah, Stevie was great,
phenomenal.
He always did good ones. He always did.
So when you try to do them at your other churches, you never.
I quit doing them.
You quit doing them.
I didn't like them.
I didn't either. I hated
it was
them.
Too much work.
But in the 90s, everybody wanted them.
They did want them. They wanted human videos.
Yes.
Human videos was a big thing. That's when you want to play a song for the congregation, but nobody's good enough to sing it.
Yes.
So you just act it out.
Yes. You know what we did? We played R. Kelly in church, and our church people had no idea who that dude was. But
that was pre.
And they were doing a skit.
That was pre R. Kelly.
I was rapping in a phone.
Oh man. What see, so I did one time where I was that's not funny. It kind of is funny. But
was it bad?
I just had worms in my mouth.
Like real worms?
Yeah, like earthworms. I was supposed to be fishing, and a guy comes up and was like, "Hey man, you catch much?" I said, "Yeah." I'll catch another one, It's like, "Man, what you catching those on?" I said,
You got real live worms in your mouth.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. This was on we did a lock-in, and it was a blow chunks night. We called it blow chunks night.
Yeah.
And
caramel onions.
And it was Revelation 3.
Oh.
I see that you're
putting a scripture in context.
Yeah, it's like Revelation 3. You're neither hot nor cold. So because of that, I'm about to blow chunks.
Yeah.
That was kind of a version, and so we had all kind of games, designed to make kids throw up. And so that skit, I actually had probably 12 earthworms in my mouth. The whole skit.
You feel them moving around?
And then, and then I spit them out.
Did they go down your throat?
No. And then I spit them out, and they were in my hands. And kids were like, "Oh, That was that blow chunks night was awesome. We did a relay one time where you drank a whole Sprite. Then the next one you had to eat a banana. Then the next one you had to do 10 jumping jacks.
You have milk.
Then the next one, and then you had to eat one of those big those orange snow cone things, those big coconut things. You had to eat one of those.
Oh yeah.
And then you had to do some more stuff. And we had one girl kind of had to run to the bathroom for that, but that was it. We did a relay race, another one, grab bag relay, where you reach in, you get sardines. You had to eat it and then run back. So we did all that stuff. It was fun. We did
Nobody threw up.
We bought not just one person.
Really? Out of all those years,
just one. And so I was telling Adam Ragsdale about it. I said, "Man, I got the banner and everything. We made the banner." He's like, "Man, send me all that. I'm gonna do it at my church." He was at a church in Gunnersville with Randy Evers. He said, "Man, send it." Yeah. And Adam is extreme.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Next level. Yeah.
And so
he's great. Though.
So he has this lock-in, and I call him and I said, "Hey, dude, how'd it go?" He said, "Dude, it was a complete disaster." He said, "We had about 100 kids here, and I promise you 70 of them threw up." He said, "There's throw up. Every kids throwing up on each other. They were throwing up." He said, we had to call the lock-in off because kids threw up so much. Everybody was sick.
No.
He said it was a disaster.
No.
I was like, well, they got the message.
Is this the church they started?
No, this was I think it was called Victory Baptist.
Victory Baptist. Okay.
And now it's a church at Lake Gunnersville.
That's it. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, they changed
relocated.
That's right.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's where Connie Tolson and all of them used to go.
Oh yeah.
But now I think they're back at First Baptist Gunnersville with the guy that was at College Heights back in the day when we were kids. Oh man, I can't remember his name. Anyway, his son's there.
Okay.
He's up there. But anyway,
yeah.
Church at Lake Gunnersville. We went there briefly when we were looking. We moved back and went to church, and Connie said, "Y'all need to come over there." So we went. We lived up in Gunnersville, and it was a great church.
There's a lot of great churches. Your church is a great church. There's a lot of great churches in this area for real.
There really is.
You know,
what's the real quick? I got to get to these two.
Okay,
because
we're not going to talk about. Are we not going to talk about exposed ministries?
Yeah, well,
I thought for sure this was coming. I was wondering if we were ever going to get to.
Go ahead. Tell me your funniest.
I was wondering
expose ministries.
That whole trip was a trip.
You mean the Epiphany?
We went to Lake Nantahala, and
he's bragging because he did something miraculous.
I did. And I appreciate number one, we survived the bus ride there.
Oh my God. Was it a bus ride from hell?
That was a bus ride from hell. I wasn't sure if he was going to say it.
And we all chewed that dude out.
Oh yeah, we were screaming at the guy. Slow down, bro. He never slowed down. It was crazy. And so we got there, and I had done the Ocoee, but I'd never done the Nantahala, and I thought, well, this is going to be cool. You know, we'll float.
Only one class 4 or 5.
Yeah, but it was unguided, and that was a bad idea.
And then 3 youth pastors in one boat.
And none of us knew what we were doing. And so, yeah. So we get stuck on this rock.
Oh, man, it's bad. It was on the biggest rapid, too.
Yeah, it was on a rapid. Jeff goes out. Gone. I reach in, grab him and pull him up. And I felt pretty good about that.
Saved my life.
But it was so cold. I remember our feet were numb for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Jeff was the king of pranks. He was always trying to mess with somebody. And so there's this guy fell asleep before everybody else. And if you know anything about student ministry or really just a bunch of guys getting together, you don't go to sleep first.
That's right.
And so Josh Clemmer fell asleep. And God love him. Josh was such a good guy.
Sweet man.
Such a good kid.
He's a great dad now.
Is he really?
He's a wonderful man.
That's awesome.
God, yeah.
So Josh goes to sleep. And Jeff, and I think it was me, I'm sure.
Yes.
There's a few of us.
Mike Halsey.
We decide we're going to move him. We're going to pick his bed up with him in it and take him outside.
By the pond.
Somewhere in the middle of that. Somewhere in the middle of that, Josh wakes up. And it was like waking somebody up that was sleepwalking. It was really scary. He was going, "Oh, this is Epiphany." Instantly, he starts freaking out, and I'm looking at Jeff like, "We have messed up.
It was bad.
This kid ain't going to be the same." Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't sleep at all that night.
No,
because I was afraid he's going to kill us in our sleep.
That was the night one of the people were looking in on the girls.
Yeah,
that was just crazy.
It was one of the
Dan Moran came.
Yes.
Speaking of Dan Moran, man, that was awesome. That's when we were trying to do our thing.
Was Kevin there?
I don't know. I don't think it was just Dan.
It was just Dan.
I had Kevin Derryberry and Rick Burgess when Rick first started speaking, like a long time ago at First Baptist Piedmont.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
that's right after his conversion too.
Yeah. It seemed. I think
Randy Evers is one that led him to the Lord, I believe.
I don't know.
It was the first, no, Rick Cagle.
He's really done some awesome things for the kingdom.
I love Rick. I enjoy.
So one last thing with Cove Creek, we had fun. And so we were when you have fun with teenagers, you tear stuff up. And so there was this one lady comes up, and just so happened she was the one lady that voted no when I came in. And but her kids love me. So she comes up and she gets me out of class. She interrupts my teaching.
As you're teaching to the youth.
I open the door and she starts to chew me out. She was like, this is ridiculous, and you're going to have to teach these kids how to act. And I was already a little miffed that she had interrupted my sermon. And so I just looked at her, and I know it was the Lord that said this. I looked at her and I said, you know what? I said, the church is filled with actors enough. I'm trying to teach these kids how to live. And she looked at me. She went, and turns around and walks off.
That
and I'm
is
like,
awesome.
I was like, yes, that's the best comeback, because I wasn't disrespectful, but I was 100% like, hey, listen, I'm doing something that you don't understand. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong.
That's right.
And I think with student ministry, you know, there's so much more available for student ministry now. If you're watching this going into student ministry, there's so many resources for student ministry. You can almost do it without putting yourself in it. And I would say that's a bad idea. God called you to student ministry, not called you to regurgitate what somebody else has done.
Boy.
And so, you know, you put not necessarily your personality, but you put your heart into it. And you be honest with those kids and never lie and never, you know, just be straightforward, because kids today, they're lie detectors.
Sure.
They have seen so much fake and phony, they can absolutely detect.
They can find it right there.
They can absolutely detect and know if you're full of it or not.
Yeah.
And if you're genuine. And if you're genuine, they'll follow whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
And they'll listen. And some of the hardest kids that I thought were never going to be anything have now still to this day reach out and say, hey, I remember this and it was cool. And, you know, and not a lot of them do. And that's fine with me. Yeah. But because I wasn't really doing it for me. I was doing it because that's what the Lord had me to do. And it was some of the best times of my life.
So, you know, when we were younger, we were in youth ministry, first started out. I started in 92, full-time in 94. You and I met 94, 95,
yeah,
96.
95, yeah.
And started hanging out, became great friends and lifelong friends, which I'm grateful for. And we were young, man, really young back then. There's one of the greatest things that we got to witness. Talking about an OG of youth ministry, it was Eddie Nichols. We got to watch him, because when we went in, he was at First Baptist Gadsden, and everybody talked about First Baptist Gadsden.
Yeah,
that was where you went if you had a youth ministry. And when I was at East Gadsden, you were at Cove Creek, we were like, we're never going to get any kids because Eddie's got them all. But we didn't realize what he had told us. There's so many hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of teenagers around here that are never going to come to this door because it says First Baptist.
Right.
Go get them.
Yeah.
And he still is. I mean, obviously, he's still doing ministry now. I mean, he's working with children and preteens and doing after school programs and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
the Dream Center.
Dream Center
in Gadsden is great.
This guy's incredible. I haven't seen him, but every time somebody sees him that I know, they come to me and they go, "Hey, Eddie Nichols asked about you." That's the type of people we wanted to be. We would say when we were younger, that brother's going to die in youth ministry. You and I said, we ain't gonna be that youth minister when we were that old. And no, but it's a call.
I thought I'd be at least this old, but I'm not.
Your daughter, children let you know that you're not that old, right?
Well, not just them.
Hey, Beth. All right, finish this sentence real quick and then we're done.
Okay.
You haven't really done youth ministry until you've
preached a funeral of a teenager.
Boy, that's where I knew you were going. Talk about that. Everybody thinks a lot of times that youth ministry is fun and games, right? And I wanted to end serious, but I not too serious. But I asked I put that question down, and I thought he's going to talk about that. And we lived it with you. And it was the worst because a lot of my teenagers were great, good friends, and it affected everything. Talk about that, because they think youth ministry is just all fun until this happens.
Yeah. I'm assuming you're talking about Daniel Manderson.
Yeah, it happened to be Josh Clemmer's cousin.
Right. Yeah, we had it was at Cove Creek, and it was we had an awesome ministry, and had a band, and Daniel Manderson I was in the band, and he was a young guy, just maybe a little awkward, but not terribly. You know, he's a musician guy. You know, and sometimes they're a little bit awkward. They're a little bit awkward, but they're not he wasn't the coolest kid.
Sure.
Super genuine, super nice. We were able to, I think one of the kids in the band, one of the kids in the group, they like got together and bought him a guitar, and he was just a phenomenal kid. And we did a Easter play, and he was Jesus at the Easter play. And that day he was talking about his head was hurting. Went to the hospital. They found he had a tumor that was large. They operated on it, didn't get it all. Said it had fingers, I'm not sure. His mom Pam, it was just them two. And man, I've never prayed more. I've never prayed more for a kid to live. And he did for a little while. But then he got to a point where he just couldn't anymore. And he passed, and that affected me a lot. It's serious. But here's the thing. If we hadn't had student ministry, and I had a place for him to get connected, to come into contact with Jesus, and I have friends, and he would have still had a brain tumor.
Yeah, that's right.
But he might not be with Jesus. And so, you know, student ministry is expensive, and nobody wants to give nobody wants to give so that students can eat pizza. Yeah. You know what I mean? Most people want their money to go to something more meaningful.
Sure. I'm
telling you. And I think it's way more than pizza. But it's just it's life and death. Yep. And they're at the point where I think working with teenagers is the most important time. Because, and a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. But they are figuring out who they are and what they're going to do for their life. And they're setting brain patterns up. And if you can help them develop prayer, worship, reading the Bible, trusting the Lord, trusting authority, really just being a good human being.
Yeah.
You have to have fun at some point. Because everything else in their life is a little bit serious. You know, they're at school, they're at home, you got to have fun somewhere. Still got to be about Jesus. It can't just be fun. I've seen those student ministries that was all fun, and it was like, okay, whatever, dude. Right. You know, Six Flags at whatever church you're at. That, you know, but yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah. That was hard.
It matters.
Ministry matters. It 100% matters. And for the people that are doing it, they're not doing it for the pay. They're not doing it to go to the beach, even though sometimes you get to go. They're doing it because probably they either needed that when they were a teenager, or they had that when they were a teenager. And either one of those is good motivation.
That's right.
So I think it's a huge importance.
You know, we did. Again, I was telling you at the very beginning. We my wife Ellie and I sat down and tried to figure out what we're doing with these podcasts. We have some that we have released. We have some we have not, and some more that are coming up that are going to be incredibly beneficial for a lot of people. And one thing that I learned from a person that does podcasts, audio podcasts, YouTube podcasts, they're all podcasts now. I mean, everybody calls them a podcast, but this person is born again and a very, very successful podcaster, and said, don't ever do podcasts for clicks. Don't ever do podcasts to fit algorithms or to get the most views or the most shares or most likes. Do something that is near and dear to you, and it'll be the best that it can ever be. And I thought about that when we did this. We're probably not going to get 10,000 views. We may get way more than that.
Yeah,
yeah.
They won't look. Platforms. They won't look and see. Oh, Seth Coleman's on this.
Right, sure. Or the title, which is awesome, by the way. But I can guarantee you, anybody that has watched, especially watched all the way through to the end, until you just talked about Daniel, I know for a fact that it'll change people's lives. I've seen it change people's lives. Youth ministry, his death, that experience when all of that was going on. I remember we all called our youth because his first cousin was in our group. We all called, and there was 40 or 50 teenagers that met at Cross Point that night that he was having, or day that he was having surgery. Yeah. And prayed for hours. And through that whole process, I think, was it about 18 months later? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Something like that.
He fought for a long time.
Yeah. But we saw during that process, we saw our youth group pray for a gentleman, a senior citizen at East Gaston Baptist, that God healed him of cancer. He came over on a Monday night when we had our prayer time for our youth, walked across Point because he was on visitation on Monday with Brother Gary. And he came over and he said, I know y'all pray, because he was sick, bad. He said, I know you pray, and you know him, and I'll tell you his name afterwards. But he came over and he said, I have cancer, and I need you to pray for me, that God will heal me. And we gathered around him, and those teenagers prayed for him. And they got to see the miracle of God healing a man of cancer through the process of the next year or two. All these different PET scans and different and his blood work and all that stuff came back, and he was cancer free. They saw God heal, but they also got to learn and witness what it's like to pray earnestly for somebody that got the ultimate healing on the other side.
Yeah. God's unanswered prayers is not because of your lack of faith or prayer. It's because God has a plan.
That's right.
And we're not privy to the plan.
Yeah.
But we are part of the plan.
Yeah.
And so anybody that tells you they know the plan, check those people.
Yeah, don't buy into that.
No.
All right, thank you, man, for coming and doing this.
No, thank you. It's been a while.
There's so many more stories that we didn't get to.
Oh, yeah.
That we may have to do a part.
I didn't even mention Ray Boltz.
Oh.
I meant to mention Ray Boltz.
What were you going to tell us to watch?
He's just about 2 or 3 decades too soon. He would have just been Methodist.
I mean, all day.
He could have just been Methodist.
He could have straight up the United Methodist. Bro, Ray, you should have just waited.
Just come on back, Ray.
Waited, Ray.
Listen, I'll
send an email, by the way.
Here's the thing. Everybody that's watching this, go to however you listen to music. Listen to Thank You by Ray Boltz and try to sing along. Oh. If you've served in ministry, you cannot do it.
Nope.
You will cry.
That's right. That's a fact.
That's 100% a fact.
That is a fact.
And so here's the thing. God used that man, even in his failings.
That's exactly right.
And
to minister to me.
And as Christians, we kind of exiled him. I think he exiled himself, just to be honest.
To be fair, yeah.
Because
he knew it was coming.
He knew. And he's dealing with his own challenges, whatever he's dealing with. Sure. But that dude put out some awesome. Man. He was like the Casting Crowns of the 90s.
He was.
He put out some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And
the skits that
you don't know what people are going through. And it doesn't negate that those songs are still awesome.
Dude, incredible.
I listened to it yesterday just thinking about this. I tried to sing along. My wife just grabbed my hand. I was like, I don't even want to cry at this.
You're right, though. It doesn't negate the work that God did through that man.
No, we're all men. We're all humans.
There it is.
Let me be correct. We're all humans, men and women.
Yeah.
And
isn't it awesome that God uses fallible people?
We all have faults.
Yeah.
And somebody that can just say, hey, you know what? I don't agree. But I don't even agree about myself a lot.
Me neither. Yeah.
So that doesn't mean God can't and won't keep using you.
We're going to definitely have to do a part 2 because we have some things some things we didn't talk about. we have some things we got to talk about. But thank you so much.
100%.
What a fun hour and 20.
God, it's been that long.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
And,
still going too long.
Still going too long.
Still going over.
We need this to go viral so we can get paid some money.
Hey. Yeah, I'll get something other than water up in here.
Colossians 3:14. Always. Let me pull this up for you. If you had one thing that you had to say to somebody that says, I would like to work with teenagers, what would you have to say to those folks that say, I feel a nudging, but I don't know.
There's a few things. Search your heart. If any part of that is about you being fulfilled in any way, fix that.
Yeah.
Because you will get let down more than you're encouraged.
That's a fact.
Because teenagers are teenagers. The other thing that I would say is be honest. And you don't have to know it all, but you do have to know more than them.
That's a point of order.
Right.
I had one in my youth group, David Thornton, that challenged me.
That's true.
I mean, David, and I've lost touch with him.
Is he the one that stood up?
No, it was not him. Could have been. It was not him, though. But
he had a girlfriend, I think.
He did.
Yeah, that's right.
Jessica was her name, and boy, he knew the Bible, man. And so I
he did.
really
Yeah,
had to
right.
keep myself in check.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, of course, I had one of the best pastors, expositors of the Word, Brother Gary Rivers, that I worked under, and that challenged me to be better. So he didn't never tell me that you're going to run out of sermons.
Man,
Colossians 3:14. This is why we named our podcast 3:14 podcast. It says, and over all things, or above all things, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. And that's what Ellie and I pray, that every time that we turn these lights on and these mics on and these cameras, is that people are drawn to unity together, because that's what we're supposed to be in the body of Christ. Is we're supposed to be unified, regardless or irregardless of what our differences are, what our past are. By the way, we all have a past, and God uses our past to cause us to be effective in our future. And I promise you, don't let your past hang you up. Put on Jesus, which is the perfect bond of love, and he'll cause everything to be unified for you. I promise you. Seth Coleman, follow him on Instagram. He's a fun follow, by the way. Or Facebook, it's Seth and Beth Coleman.
Yeah, we have one of those.
They have dual toilets too. My wife and I have a dual Facebook page.
Oh yeah.
But we have separate Instagram pages, which is weird, but we do, and we have dual toilets as well. So go out there and get you one of those dual toilets.
They're fun.
You can both preach a sermon from it.
That's right.